Captain Gilad Pellaeon of the Imperial Navy served very closely with Grand Admiral Thrawn. In fact, Captain Pellaeon first served with Thrawn when Thrawn was strictly just an admiral. Thrawn gained the promotion to admiral after or during the year 9 BBY and assumed control of the 96th Task Force of the Imperial Navy. Captain Pellaeon was a part of the 96th Task Force, and when Thrawn was promoted and given command of the group, Pellaeon was shown to be a very capable and trustworthy subordinate. Throughout Thrawn's tenure as admiral of the task force, he came to trust Pellaeon enough to send him as a representative to select Imperial meetings, with the primary goal of identifying promising individuals in the Empire that could help Thrawn achieve his goals. An example of Pellaeon acting in this position could be seen in Tales from the Empire, where he attends a meeting that Morgan Elsbeth presents her designs for the TIE Defender at. Pellaeon personally approached Elsbeth and questioned her further about her project, showing a very clear interest in the TIE Defender design. He then reported this to Admiral Thrawn after the meeting, and the two of them, along with Thrawn's bodyguard Rook and other ships from the 96th Task Force, journeyed to Morgan Elsbeth's city on Corvus and recruited her to Thrawn's cause. Sometime later, Thrawn would be given another promotion, this time to Grand Admiral, and be given command of the 7th Fleet, thus separating Pellaeon and Thrawn. Captain Pellaeon, at some point, however, would be transferred to the 3rd Fleet, which was under the control of Grand Admiral Savitt. Under his command, Pellaeon captained the Star Destroyer called the Harbinger. Under Savitt's command, Pellaeon and the rest of the 3rd Fleet led anti-piracy campaigns in sectors that were of use to the Stardust Project, the name of the Imperial endeavor to construct the Death Star. Shipping lanes for Project Stardust were under attack, and it was actually through the investigations of Grand Admiral Thrawn at the insistence of Grand Moff Tarkin that the plot behind these attacks was revealed. It turned out that Grand Admiral Savitt had been secretly in league with a group of pirates to destabilize the construction of the Death Star. His reasoning being that he thought it was a colossal waste of the Empire's resources. Thrawn confronted Savitt about his subterfuge, and Captain Pellaeon, once reviewing the evidence, sided with Thrawn in arresting Grand Admiral Savitt. This was likely not seen as a total surprise to Savitt, though, as Captain Gilad Pellaeon's loyalty was noted explicitly by Thrawn as being solely to the Empire, not to Savitt. This is interesting because if Pellaeon is loyal to the Empire above all else, then his service to Thrawn would be ultimately out of a duty to the Empire, and not strictly because of a loyalty to an individual person. That sounded obvious as I said it aloud, but I think in the case of Captain Gilad Pellaeon, that is worth noting. After arresting Savitt and foiling the plot to disrupt Stardust's supply lines, Pellaeon and his Star Destroyer, the Harbinger, were placed under the command of Grand Admiral Thrawn in the 7th Fleet. Having returned now to Thrawn's service, Pellaeon accompanied him to the planet Lothal to fight back against rebel activity, led by Hera Syndulla and the Force-sensitive Ezra Bridger. Thrawn would ultimately lose this encounter, being whisked away via hyperspace due to the involvement of the Purrgil, a whale-like species that journeyed through space and was capable of traveling via hyperspace of their own accord. Captain Pellaeon was left behind during this encounter, and due to their defeat and the loss of their admiral, he and the rest of the Empire left Lothal and never returned. Pellaeon survived the rest of the Galactic Civil War, and would even come to command his own Imperial remnant during the early New Republic era. During this time, he would focus on finding a way to bring Grand Admiral Thrawn back from wherever the Purrgil took him to, and would also represent Thrawn during meetings with the second iteration of the Shadow Council, the unofficial collection of Imperial leaders that all commanded their own respective Imperial remnants in the wake of the Galactic Civil War. During these meetings, Pellaeon would caution the other leaders against any large-scale activity until the return of the Grand Admiral, citing that Thrawn's reappearance would allow for a true resurgence of the Empire. This was not what the other Imperial warlords wanted to hear, as they all vied for the position of leadership amongst the Council. It's also interesting to note that Pellaeon seemed to hold some level of importance for Brendol Hux, the representative for the Imperial remnant that would assumedly eventually become the First Order. Brendol Hux was instrumental in creating the First Order Stormtrooper training program and the conscription of kidnapped children into their service, and also had a hand in Project Necromancer, the secretive Imperial experiment that involved the use of midichlorians, and, during the reign of the Galactic Empire, was of much interest to Emperor Palpatine. Pellaeon also seemed to understand the importance of Project Necromancer, and the fact that the project was revived by Brendel Hux's Imperial Remnant, possibly hinting that Pellaeon knows about or suspects their true objective for the project. The prevailing theory I've seen online connects the Project Necromancer of the Imperial Remnant with the Sith Eternal and their endeavor to fashion the late Emperor Palpatine with a new body, one that can withhold his power and doesn't deteriorate upon his possession of it. This to me makes sense, as Grand Admiral Thrawn was and is a valued asset of the Empire, and due to Pellaeon's proximity to him and then Hux and the rest of this remnant, would likely entrust the details of their goals to him as well. And that will cover it for the, so far, canon timeline of Captain Gilad Pellaeon. Initially, I conceived this video as a means of pinpointing when in the full canon timeline that Thrawn was promoted from a Commodore to an Admiral, and Pellaeon's involvement helped me figure that out a bit, but eventually I realized I spent more time focusing on Pellaeon himself and opted to just talk about him instead. My ultimate conclusion regarding Thrawn's promotion is that he became an Admiral sometime in the years 5 to 3 BBY, due to Pellaeon's appearance in Tales of the Empire and the wording used in the canonical Thrawn trilogy. There's no concrete evidence supporting this, and therefore we can only say that Thrawn's promotion came sometime after 9 BBY when he secured a major victory for the Empire at the planet Botejef. But again, based on the wording used in the Thrawn books when referring to his promotion to Admiral, and the fact that Thrawn is an Admiral in Tales of the Empire, I believe he became an Admiral much closer to around 5 to 3 BBY. Anyway, enough rambling, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching.